I can see if you share it.
Okay, let me know when you can see my screen. We'll go ahead and get started here.
Okay. Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, okay, perfect. Let's pull it up. Awesome. So today I kind of wanted to recap off of a few things that we ended with last time, and then we're going to go into the third section. But one of the things that a lot of us are so got our minds wrapped around so much in just the selling of real estate. Representing buyers and sellers, because for the most part, that's why we got into real estate. But we also see the value as agents to bring on other agents and have the revenue share become an additional leveraged income, or potentially even your main income at some point. So really what these next few charts show is how you can convert and still be able to represent your buyers and sellers, but through that consistency and that momentum, convert your revenue share into a pretty substantial income at some point. But again, obviously, it's based on production and agents. So here's just kind of the first year example, and it's a great example because we're here in 2021 in January, and a lot of us are evaluating our business plans as if you represent 10 sellers and 10 buyers. So let's just say, for the sake of example, that brings you $200,000 a year.
Right.
Now you also want to bring on 10 agents to the company. So sponsor, you personally want to attract 10 agents, which that is less than one a month. So honestly, for anybody, I know we've been talking about making the 2 calls a day. When you're reaching out to 2 agents a day, 10 a week, 40 a month, you should be able to sponsor one a month, right? Um,
Yeah.
and so that should be definitely easily doable. And you're still focusing on your production of 10 listings and 10 buyers. So what's going to happen is when you sponsor those 10 agents in your first year, they're going to start sponsoring agents as well. So, give or take, that may be an organization of over, 60 agents. This is just an example. And so that could bring you an income of an additional $45,000 a year. Now let's do the same thing. Next year, we're going to represent 10 sellers and 10 buyers. Now, every market's going to differ on the price points, but let's just say it brings you again $200,000 a year. Now, next year, you're going to step up your game a little bit. So instead of bringing 10, you're going to personally sponsor 15. So a little over one a month. Again, nothing crazy, but those 15 are going to start sponsoring agents. So usually out of 15, what's going to happen is you're going to have two or three that go crazy and they start bringing on a bunch of agents. So that could be an organization of 150. Now that could bring $112,000. Let me just divide this out real quick. I think
You're
there's
making my head hurt.
hey, these numbers are real. That's what's crazy about it. And how they're coming up, just so you guys, so you know here, how they're coming up with that number is they're averaging $750 an agent, because we know revenue share is based on production, it's
Mhm.
based on your qualifiers. So they kind of do it just an average of $750 an agent. So some you're going to get paid the full cap at 2,800 or 3,200. Some you're
Right.
going to get paid less. So if you average 750, that's where they're coming up with this number. Now here's where it gets fun. So let's look at 23. You're still representing 10 sellers, 10 buyers. You bring on 15 agents. Now your group is growing and you have over 350 agents. Well, the average $750, that's $262 a year. So do you see, in just 2 years of aligned focus and commitment and consistency, your revenue share can exceed what you're doing with your buyers and sellers? Do you see how that happened in only 24 months?
Yes.
Right? That's pretty cool,
And
huh?
it's gonna take a minute not to get scared of that. A lot of
Hey,
people don't think about that, you can actually get scared of wealth building.
right, right, absolutely. But again, if you want to serve and help more people, you can't help other people until you've helped yourself, right?
Right.
So this should be a freedom number not just for you and your family, but for other people that you want to serve as well. So the next one is, this is where it gets really fun. So don't let this number scare you. Now you've gotten busy. So the reason why they have 10 on here is because when you get to this point, this is, kind of where we are right now as far as having 850 agents, you start to step back away from production because now you're helping your agents grow. And then you're going to start sponsoring less because again, you're focusing on your agents, you're focusing on their growth and a little bit less on personally sponsoring. So in 2024, you bring on 10, that you now have an organization of 1,000. What I noticed, by the way, once you start getting over 200 and 300 agents, it starts to grow a lot faster because obviously you have more agents. So you've got to build the momentum. The hardest part is to get to about 200 agents. From there, it starts to grow with or without you.
Okay.
But at this point, this is where you really start focusing on your agents. And so you brought on 10, you have 1,000 agents averaging $750. Now you're looking at $750,000 a year in revenue share. Now can't
Mhm.
tell me that you can't help a lot of people when you're making almost $1 million a year. And again, so now you're out of production, you're still serving people. Now you're helping other agents do the same thing. And this is only in 3 years of total commitment and alignment and focus. And by just having 2 conversations a day, bringing on 1 to 2 agents a month. 2025, this is my goal. I want to get to over 2,000 agents by the end of this year. You bring on 10 agents, you're now quickly growing your organization to 3,000 agents, and that could be over 2,000 or $2 million in revenue share. Right? We
Okay.
have agents already that are at this mark and more. I saw Brent Gove just hit 10,000 agents in his organization in 4 years with EXP.
Wow.
But what he did, he consistently every Friday afternoon would talk to agents. And so when we talk about the 2, if you consistently talk to 2 agents every single day, this could be
Mhm.
what your life looks like, 3, 4 years down the line. But again, it's all based on production. It's based on your commitment and bringing these agents. So what this allows you to do is really have that freedom where you've not given up production until you get to the point where you can, right? I don't think any of us want to unlock homes for the rest of our life. I'm not sure that I know anyone that wants to do that. Some of us have to, but there's a difference that if you want to. So now we really get into the third party and the third part of this mastermind. And, one of the phrases that I heard Pat Hayes say, which I absolutely love, he'll say, for example, in 2020, I paid EXP my $16,000 in my cap, and EXP paid me blank in revenue share. So whatever that is, 200, 300,000, whatever it is. So people really mentally start to understand that it's no longer about the $16,000 cap. It's about opportunity because we're not the cheapest brokerage. If agents joined us just because we were cheaper, they would all go to 100% companies, right? It's about relationships. It's about the opportunity and the community that we have in the company. So I have to ask, a lot of us get into real estate because we want time freedom, financial freedom, freedom to help others. And so you have to ask, do you have time and financial freedom right now? And even some of the top agents, they might have, reached the financial freedom part of life, but they haven't reached time freedom, right? They're still a slave to their business. And that's really what revenue share can allow you to do is create the time and the freedom, financial freedom. So one of the things that we're even looking at right now in our own organization is having an onboarding specialist, because at some point when your revenue share gets high enough, you have to treat it like a business because it is essentially its own business in its own right. So you've got to start leveraging and hiring assistants. And this is exactly kind of where we are right now, of looking at hiring an onboarding specialist to create a high level service. And you have to take ownership of your organization. So, the key components of agent attraction or the actual attraction part of it. Then you have onboarding. So agents have, a successful onboarding experience with EXP, but then you have retention, right? So you want to keep them in EXP, you want to keep them happy, you want to build a community where they hopefully stay with EXP. And, I have yet to see an agent who has done well in revenue share and stock leave the company. I mean, it's just, once they truly dive into the opportunity, they're not going to go anywhere and that's in my opinion, but of course
Right.
each their own. Um, this business belongs to the promoter. So persuasion and promotion are the two best skills. You have to believe in EXP. You have to believe that it's the best brokerage and option out there because we've talked about this before. As Tony Robbins says, it's 80% psychology and 20% strategy. Well, a lot of times we're focusing on the strategy part, but if you don't have your own mindset, you just mentioned, that's scaring you. If you're
Mhm.
scared of these numbers, when you have those conversations, that energy is going to mirror off to the other agent. So you have to truly believe in it. You have to have the confidence. You have to know in your heart that this is the best option for other agents. Otherwise, you can never sell them that, right? We don't want to sell them on EXP. We want to open the door for them for opportunity. So one thing that's recommended is go to mastermind events, and even if you put on masterminding events, we're actually doing one for a few of the agents in Orlando next month. So we're paying for the lodging and the food, but not the airfare. Because obviously, when you start getting into airfare, that can be expensive pretty quickly. But you want to show your guests that you're going to invest in them. So when will you work? When are you going to sell real estate? Because real estate can take 24 hours a day, 7 days a week if you let it. So you need to time block time. When is it your time to represent buyers and sellers? And when is it your time that you're going to focus on those few calls a day and agent attraction? When will you play? When are you going to take time for family time? And of course, any successful person, it's important to take time to rest. When will you prospect? So for agent attraction, we talked about 2 a day, 10 a week, 40 a month. If you do that, you will be able to bring on the 10 to 15 every single year and personally sponsor. If not, we may have to look at some of the strategy and scripts. Uh, are you capitalized? Are you reinvesting in your company? Right? Again, you're kind of like building your own organization, your own company within the company. So just like any company, you have to reinvest. Where are you going to get capital? If you need to get capital, I heard Brent Gove talk about how he actually took a loan out for $100,000 in his first year to help grow his revenue share organization because he knew how important it was to reinvest. And so, that's something that's really important. I mean, we're holding a private mastermind for the top attractors in our organization. It's easily going to cost us $15,000, but it's an investment back in the top leaders of the organization. Are you going to get an executive assistant, part-time, full-time, virtual? What does that look like? COO. So again, you start looking at how do you make this an actual business? And you have to surround yourself with talent and hire what you lack. So, that's exactly what I'm looking at right now is things that I don't enjoy doing or things that I'm not necessarily good at. And how can you hire and leverage the things that you don't enjoy? Because if you don't enjoy it, maybe you're good at it. But if you don't enjoy it, again, the energy is not going to be there. And keep in mind, so we're start getting into some of the commercial. Now it's go add here. So now it's not just the residential side, but a lot of the states are open on the commercial side. So just like the residential, they're 80-20. They do have a little bit of a higher cap, but still very competitive in the commercial space, which is $20,000. And then you get national co-star access, which is huge in the commercial world. And I believe that's around $500 a month. So for somebody that strictly does only commercial, they can now be looking at joining just the EXP affiliation, or they have a whole separate company now, and most states are open. So that's a new business line. We also have international growth. Last year they opened South Africa, India, Mexico. This year I know they've already announced like France and Puerto Rico. So I believe they're looking 5 to 10 countries a year. So agent attraction is not just an opportunity now in the States, it's now become a global opportunity. So how are you going to start leveraging relationships that you might have even out of the country? And some of for me, for example, I don't know anybody in Mexico. So what I started doing is calling agents in my organization that I knew were from Mexico and start tapping into their network and helping them grow. So sometimes you got to think a little bit out of the box. It's not just about who you know, but who do you know and who they know, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, So it's kind of like that, the 7 levels of communication. It kind of goes on and on and on. Or even start having conversations with anyone and everyone. You go to a coffee shop, you go to a restaurant, ask the waiter, hey, who do you know that's your friend in real estate? You almost make it a habit. It's part of your life that you start asking everyone, would you mind introducing me to them? And you never know who you can come across. Last year EXP started this awesome thing. I think they're going to do it on a quarterly basis, but it was called the EXP Sprint, and you had to bring on 3 agents, I think 3 FLAs in 30 days in order to attend. But this is where some of these slides came from. So if you see here, no one comes to visit you on the independent broker island. And I know you guys know Lewis, and that's one of the things when he was evaluating joining EXP, it was no longer just about him as the broker, but it was what could he give back to his agents by bringing on them. And that was going to be, they became shareholders and they could start expanding themselves. And I love this sentence here. There's only 12 inches from your head to your heart. So just as we mentioned earlier, we're not the cheapest brokerage. Agents are not making the decision just based on the numbers alone. They're going to make decisions based on emotion. So how can you figure out by asking questions what's important to that agent and how EXP can solve that problem? So you might be talking to a top producer that they're doing very well in their business, but they want to get out of the rat race. They want to get out of selling real estate 24/7. So how can they start leveraging their production to get stock and also leveraging their expertise to be able to get revenue share to get off of that? Or maybe you're talking to a newer agent who doesn't have systems and tools, or even maybe they're not newer. We talked to one yesterday. He's doing 40 deals a year. He wants to get to 70. Well, okay, well, if you want to get to 70, you're going to have to do something different in your business. And so, the systems and KV Core was something that's really important. So much of agent attraction is being a resource for EXP, but asking a lot of questions and finding out how you can help and serve that agent. So set the standard and raise the bar during the onboarding experience. We talked about that. It's not about just bringing agents on, but you have to treat it like a business, and you have to make sure that they have a successful and welcoming onboarding experience as well. So what do you do differently when you're recruiting or attracting someone? Why is somebody going to go to Belinda or Evelyn or Micah? Why are they going to go to you as opposed to somebody else? What makes you unique? Now, again, you don't want to, it's against our agent attraction to offer any incentives against another agent. So I'm not suggesting that. I'm just saying what's going to make you unique where people are going to be attracted to work with you. Don't stop selling the agents the dream. Sell them through emotion. So even now, our frontline agents, people we personally sponsored into the company, we sent them a little gift for Christmas. We're sending them a postcard next month. I have them on an automatic drip campaign. So even though they've been with me, some of them for 6 years, we're still selling them, quote unquote, the dream over and over again, and almost reminding them why they joined EXP. Because a lot of times we just get into the cycle and we forget what our goals were. We forget why we joined EXP. Sometimes you have to be that little reminder and, help them identify that. So identify their heartache. How can the model help them? And what's going to make them happy? So if you see the 3 H's here, heartache, help them and make them happy. We're not here to manipulate or sell anyone. We truly want to help agents. And if you see here, even McDonald's, the #1 selling hamburger, it's no coincidence, it's the Happy Meal. It's not because it's the best hamburger in the world, but it's because it makes people happy, right? And it's literally called the Happy Meal. So how can you take that same concept and put it into agent attraction? You have to have the heart to heart up front. There's no perfect onboarding. EXP is not perfect. There's no perfect real estate brokerage. There's going to be speed bumps, but you have to reassure that you're going to be a resource and you're there to support. So for example, I onboarded an agent last week and she was still kind of running into some technical difficulties, if you will. So this morning, first thing in the morning, we jumped on another Zoom and I walked her through everything again. And now she's got it. She's got it down. She's excited. But it took just that extra step to show, hey, you're not alone. I was not here about just bringing you onto EXP and leaving you. I want to ensure that you know where to go for everything. You've got the systems downloaded. You're comfortable, and that this continues to be the best decision for you and your business. Right.
Mhm.
Again, I was
Yeah.
reselling her the dream again, even though she's already been with us for a week. So don't let your agents suffer in silence. Check on them. Make sure that they know where to go for everything. Hey, I'll let them know I'll be a resource, but if it's a compliance question, here's where you need to go to talk to your broker. If it's a tech question, here's where you need to go to talk to the tech team, because I can try to help you the best I can, but there's my level of education on tech only goes so far. So it's really about teaching them how to fish. I mean, we all know that phrase, teaching a man how to fish and where to go for everything so they can make sure they have a successful experience. And honestly, the agents that I've seen that haven't have a successful experience, it's frankly because they weren't engaged. They weren't engaged in taking classes, they weren't engaged in the systems and going to their state meetings and whatnot. So it's no different if you were at a regular, traditional office, you had a big, beautiful office, they could have trainings every single day. But if you never went to them, then you never saw the true benefit of the brokerage. And it's
Right.
the same thing, no different than EXP. So connect agents with leaders in your organization and support them in getting their first agents. You always want to try to help agents bring on their first agent as quickly as they can so they can start feeling the revenue share. We brought on an agent about 60 days ago. He's brought on about 4 agents since. 2 of them already had a transaction, and he sent us a screen share last week of $400. He said, "What is this
Wow.
for?" And we said, "That's your revenue share. You're going to get it direct deposited this month." I mean, how cool is that? Less
Yeah.
than 60 days in the company and it's already making $400 in revenue share. So the best onboarding process is educate and communicate. Keep it simple. Have some systems, especially if you want to have some scalability. Keep it personable. Again, people make decisions off of emotions, and be service oriented. So you want to have the giver's gain mentality. Just as Zig Ziglar says, the more that you help others, you're going to in return get the same. And that's really what revenue share is all about. It's not about me and how big my organization is. It's about how many agents can I serve and help do the same thing. And in return, that's going to, help grow our organization. So with that said, I'll kind of open it up and see if you guys have any questions.